Welcome to the Andy Ruther Show. Here is your host, Andy Ruther.
Welcome to the Andy Ruther Show. That is me, Andy Ruther, coming to you on this March Madness. Is it not day one? I always want to say day one. Do we count the first four? Do we count the first four? I never count the first four. Playing, whatever it is. But anyway, it's kind of a fun day here in the country. The old March Madness. And I know nothing about the squads this year. That's the truth. It's amazing when you start having kids, when you turn into an old man like me, you really start prioritizing what you are and are not going to watch because you just have a limited time. And I'm like, I'm out in college basketball. I just don't got the time. I don't got the time. It's cool. Like March Madness is cool. I just don't got the time. Put out a bracket. It's not like the old days, man. I used to, it used to be like when I grew up, I'm an old man. It was such a big deal. If you were good in school, your teacher would put on games. They put the TV on that little cart that would wheel out. For my youngins out there, they'd wheel out a cart that had a TV on it if you were good in class, and they would let you watch the games. It was a big deal. You have all your brackets. I mean, filling them out. If I got it right, it had a highlighter. Printed brackets, right? Nothing digital. If I got it wrong, you'd circle it or put just a line through it. That was the old days, man. The old days. God, I sound like a boomer. The old days. But yeah, I don't, I'll watch some games. I just don't got time for it now. I got these kids, got these two kids, and they are just, take up a lot of time. It's funny how like your good days before kids, and then your good days with kids. Like today's a great day for us here at our household. My 2-month-old took a shit. like that's how I'm basing my day now. You took a dump without me having to shove something in your ass. That's how it's a good day. Right? Oh, they have the formula that's always out of stock at the grocery store. That's a good day. Oh, my 2-year-old didn't tell me no for 5 minutes. It's a great day. It's a great day. So that's what we're dealing with over here at the Ruther household here in Cincinnati, Ohio. Not complaining though. We got a lot on the plate. We got a lot. It's been an interesting week here. There's a lot I want to talk about today. There's a lot. I have been like looking at stuff on the JFK files. Just like things people were posting, which by the way, here's what I find interesting about the JFK files. One, it's like they're not fully revealing everything that I've seen. People are probably going to call me out because I have not done a deep dive. I just look at what people post, mostly on X, and I look at some accounts. But here's what I have found interesting about the JFK thing and other things. I find people interesting who are like, oh, this stuff's not a big deal. It happened in 1963. Like that take to me is just such a bad take. The JFK assassination is one of the biggest events in American history, which obviously has a domino effect and a butterfly effect on the world with America's stance and global power in the world. So when people are like, oh, who cares? It happened in 63. It's not that big of a deal. Happened 60 plus years ago. Who cares? It's like, what? That's an awful take on the JFK stuff. And basically from what I've seen, we know, and it's no surprise, things that have already been out there before, the CIA's involvement and possibly other countries or the mafia, all these different things is why I find it all interesting, like the JFK stuff. I find this so interesting. I've been to the spot where he was shot multiple times. In fact, every time I've gone to Dallas, it's so stupid. Every time I've been to Dallas, I think I've been to Dallas like 3 times or something, 4 times. Every time I go to Dallas, I'm like, I got to see where JFK's been shot. I got to check that out. Because it's fascinating, right? Because like most people that I know are like, it wasn't Lee Harvey Oswald. It wasn't just one dude. Like no one believes that who's probably 50 or younger, 40 or younger. Nobody buys that. And that's kind of the general thing that I wanted to bring up today, which will lead into the whole Gene Hackman thing, is that with everyone having access to technology and the internet and the ability for people to look stuff up or people to do deep dives on their own, which wasn't readily available, all these like, oh, you're a kooky conspiracy theorist, that really doesn't hold up anymore for the most part. Now, granted, there are kooky things, and I'm not saying there's not, but I'm using the JFK thing as an example, a prime example. I remember just a few years ago, probably like 6 or 7 years ago during Christmas with my family, my brother was always be like, "You're a conspiracy theorist. You're a conspiracy theorist." And the JFK thing was brought up. And I was like, "Dude, I don't think I'm a conspiracy theorist because because I believe that more than one person shot him and there was a lot of other involvements with his death." Like, he's like, "Oh, like, dude, literally go visit the site. Go visit where JFK was shot." I'm not like the logical part it never added up. It never added up for me. And the truth is I didn't really care that much until I saw uh the whole area and you check out the grassy knoll and then you go in the building where Lee Harvey Oswald fired the shot and you see everything and there's that X on the street and you're like, again, it's just logical. Like that's why I laugh now and my brother still does it. Right. He'll still call me a conspiracy theorist. Now he's different, dude. He was military. He went to West Point, all that stuff. So it's like, bro, you just dismiss it because you trust these people. I don't. I don't. So my point is all this stuff comes out and we all have access to stuff, and they're not even revealing that much stuff, truthfully. Like we'll never know as far as the full details. I doubt. My point is I don't think just lazily calling people conspiracy theorists holds the weight that it once did. Especially when people want to question things like, what? I want to question, again, the assassination of a president that happened in 63, which had just an effect on so many things in our country and in the world. And there's people like, it doesn't matter. Stupid conspiracy theorists. Dude, I don't trust shit anymore. I just don't. It's not even that I don't trust. It's just, I think it's good to question things. That's all I'm saying. Like this Gene Hackman death. If you guys follow this, I've been following it somewhat. Again, I got 2 kids. I'm not like immersed in the Gene Hackman. But the minute the Gene Hackman thing was released, that they found him dead, they found his wife dead, they found his dog dead, most people are like, this doesn't add up. This is fishy. And that's all I'm saying on all this stuff is like a lot of things don't add up. It's good to question things. There's a lot of things involved. There's a lot of people at play here. I mean, the Gene Hackman death is it's all bizarre, right? So they came out when it happened and they said that they both died of natural causes and that his wife, Betsy Arakawa, totally butchering that name, I'm sure. Arakawa, Arakawa, Arkarwa, Akakaka. I don't know, guys. But they said she passed away on February 11th when it first came out from a hantavirus pulmonary syndrome, a rare and deadly disease linked to rodent exposure. Okay, so right there, I'm like, okay, that's bizarre. His wife died of a disease no one's ever heard of, just like no one's ever heard of. His wife dies of this disease. The hantavirus linked to rodent exposure. This sounds like something from the Black Plague. Are we in the 1500s? Sounds like she ate a bad piece of meat on the streets of London in 1423. Again, it just doesn't add up. And that Gene Hackman allegedly died a week later on February 18th from extensive heart disease with advanced Alzheimer's as a contributing factor. And then they're not found until February 26th in their Santa Fe, New Mexico home. By the way, great city. I want to give a shout out. Don't want to diss Santa Fe in this. Santa Fe, lovely city. I've been there. Spent a few days there. Santa Fe is a lovely city. So at first, remember, everybody was like carbon monoxide poisoning. That's what people thought. And then they ruled that out. And now they're saying she got this disease from a rodent. It's again, it could happen. I'm not saying it didn't happen. It's just bizarre. Anybody else find it bizarre? They have an estate that's worth $80 million. This doesn't look sketchy to anybody. And again, people will be like, a conspiracy theorist. Really? No, it's again logical. That's all I'm doing here. So now they updated already. They've updated the timeline because they got the phone records. And his wife called a clinic on February 12th, a full day after the cops and the law enforcement reported that she died of the rare rat-borne disease. So they're claiming she died on February 11th. There's literally a call log that she called on February 12th. And according to reports, she showed no signs of respiratory distress, raising major questions about the official timeline. Oh, and on top of that, pills were scattered around the scene. And then we have this whole inheritance thing. It's just, again, that's why I like weave this into the JFK thing. It's just there's so many odd things that happen. And the truth is, it's easy. I guess it was. I don't know if it still will be now. It's like easy to cover shit up, dude. Oh, the cause of death was this. Okay, so you paid off the person who did the autopsy, the coroner. Like, it's easy to pay people off. It's easy to just make people disappear. Like, it is. They could make me disappear pretty easily. Like, these are trained professionals, is all I'm saying. And I'm not saying like the CIA or the FBI was involved in Gene Hackman's death. I'm just saying professionals, man. It's not that difficult, right? I mean, hell, not even that far from me. A bunch of Latino teenager kids went into Joe Burrow's house. I mean, come on. They're professionals. They've been robbing athletes all over the country. That's all I'm saying here. This doesn't add up to me. This whole Gene Hackman death, it's bizarre. Right? We have $80 million at stake here. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. It's sketchy. And people will do sketchy stuff over a will. You see it all the time. People that fight over a will, over inheritance. They had filed their will in 2005. Hackman left his estate to his wife as the successor trustee of the Gene Hackman Living Trust. He did not directly name his 3 adult children in the will, but that doesn't mean that they are disinherited. Court filings did name them as heirs. I recall his will, that's his wife, stipulated that if Hackman died before her, her estate should be put in a charitable trust benefiting charities the couple supported. However, there was a provision that stated that if she and Hackman died within 90 days of each other, which they did, no person will be deemed to have survived me. Also complicating matters, if Arakawa died first, which is thought to be the case, allegedly, Hackman's will becomes void because the individual he wanted his items to be passed to, which would be her, no longer exists in the eyes of the law, according to ABC News legal expert Brian Buckmeyer. Mr. Buckmeyer added his estate and everything he left in his will would go to probate court, while individuals can argue that they should receive the benefit of Gene Hackman's will. You guys see what I'm saying? Like, this is a mess. You got $80 million, all these stipulations, all this legal stuff, way above my pay grade. It doesn't add up. She died of a rat disease? This literally sounds like a movie he would play. It doesn't add up to me. I'm not buying it. Dude, this stuff is like, so when my parents died in 2020, one of my older brothers was the executor of the will. And my parents' wills were pretty, like, kudos to my parents. It was pretty cut and dry, man. It was clean. It wasn't like this. It was pretty, everything was clean. My parents' will. There's 5 of us, they have 5 sons, and they laid it out very meticulously. I think their will was filed in 2013, the last updated will. But they laid it out. I mean, everything's laid out. And the truth is, I'd recommend if you think about this stuff, I would have it taken care of, because it makes for a clean transition once you pass away. And shout out to my brother for handling that, because I definitely couldn't. There's a reason my parents chose him to be the executor. I never could have done that emotionally, especially given that they died within 8 months and unexpectedly. So you have all that to deal with, but then the emotional side, but then you got to actually go through all this stuff, right? But again, my parents, when they died, it was very clear where everything was going. If they sold the house that they lived in, if we sold the house, every brother gets 20%. If one of the brothers wants to buy the house, which my brother ended up doing, he gets 20% off. And then the rest of whatever the value of the house is, the brothers split. It's like, it was everything was clear. My mom had it very clear about her jewelry with my sister-in-laws or my nieces, all those things, or somebody else who might get something. It was very clear. And thank God there was never any fighting in my family. There was never, you see it all the time. There was never fighting, which my parents or my mom had problems with her mother's will, and there was 11 of them, and they didn't have much. And I think they were fighting over stuff out where she grew up on a small farm in Ohio. But my point is, it was very easy. I think, I don't know. I didn't deal with it. I just went along. This Gene Hackman, we're not talking, and there wasn't this much. I mean, this is $80 million is my point. Something sketchy. It doesn't make sense to me. The same way the JFK thing, it's like, there's just so many question marks on all these things. And when people were like, conspiracy theorist, you're like, well, this doesn't really add up, man. Like, I just don't, I don't trust that Gene Hackman's wife got bit by a rat. Like, was she living in squalor? Did she live in a sewer? Was she hanging out with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? Was it Splinter? Like why would a rat bite her? Why? And again, dude, you can just pay people off. Everybody has a price. Everybody in life has a price. You don't think they could just pay off the Santa Fe Police Department, pay off the coroner, pay off some attorneys, pay off some judges? Dude, it's happened since the beginning of time. You just pay people off. Everyone has a price. I want to know what happened to Gene Hackman. What a terrible way to go. And if his wife did die a week before him, as they think, just sad. Just sad. Thought of some old man wandering around a home with severe Alzheimer's, 95 years old. And the poor dog. I think about that. The poor dog died. I think it was in its crate. Probably hadn't eaten. It's terrible. You know, that's what sucks about death. You don't get to choose it. You don't get to choose how you go. Very, very rarely do you hear about the person who's like, they died in their sleep. They died surrounded by their family in a relaxed state of mind. You never hear that. You never hear that. I had an aunt who died, I think in the last few years. She was in Florida. I didn't really know her that well. She was old, but she died just relaxing on her rocker on the front porch. Just passed away. Natural causes in her 90s. Where she liked to just be outside on her rocker in the front. I'm like, what a great way to die. What just a beautiful, that's the word. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful way to die, to leave this earth and go wherever we go. Beautiful. And then I think about my parents. There's nothing beautiful. I hate to say it. There's nothing beautiful about being in the hospital and people trying to keep you alive. And there's a million doctors and nurses in there and they're trying everything. And you got to make a decision. And you're like, as a family, do we keep doing this? Or do we let them go? And I just think, oh, so awful. And I know you shouldn't focus on the end for anybody. It's not good to think about, though. I know for me, it's like you don't want to think about that. I don't want to think about. I struggled for the longest time, especially with my mom. I would think about that last hour. Oh, just how miserable it was. And then we all had to make the decision we weren't going to continue, as they were trying everything. But you don't want to focus on that, but it's hard not to, because it's traumatic and it just gets etched in your brain. And that's like what I thought about with this Gene Hackman thing. I was like, oh man, he's walking around his house. He doesn't know what's going on. He probably needs medication, obviously, for his pacemaker, for his heart. She allegedly got bit. She got bit by a rat. I'm just saying, she got bit by a rat. Hey, what is this? Some 80s movie? A rat? Where did the rat bite her? The rat gave her the hantavirus? This sounds like a horror movie. That's what happened? I just saying, I think foul play. I don't know. I'll never know. We'll probably never know. I'm just suspecting some foul play. You got $80 million at stake. People want to get their beak wet with that $80 million. That's a lot of money. $80 million will go a long way. Just don't, if I question this, just don't be like, you're a conspiracy theorist, Andy. Of course a rat bit her. She was setting out some traps and a rat came up or a mice came up and bit her. Really? That's what happened? I mean, I don't know. I couldn't tell you the last time. I don't know what the rat situation is like in New Mexico. I know here in Cincinnati, Ohio, I don't really have experience seeing rats. Mice, yeah, maybe some mice, not rats. I'm not just hanging out in my kitchen with my family and, oh, there's our rat. Hey, Ronald the rat. He's just scooting on by. Ronald the rat. Hey, kids, don't touch Ronald. He might give you the hantavirus, something that I've never heard of. No, don't touch him. Ronald's not friendly. He's full of diseases. Just let him eat his cheese and let him go back in the corner. Let him go through our wall. Ronald lives back there. I bet my 2-year-old would try to pet him. She'd be like, "Come here, Ronald. Come here." I don't know if she'd be scared if she tried to pet him. Dude, 2-year-olds are lunatics. Just complete lunatics. Cries, laughs at the same time. Like, what is that? Who cries, laughs? I always say, just drunken sorority girl. You're just a drunken sorority girl. One minute you love me, the next minute you hate me. So that's what like a 2-year-old girl is. Just a drunken sorority girl. You're overtired, / you had too much to drink. You're going to be a mess. You don't want to go to sleep. You hate me. You're going to fight me. You're going to swing at me. All things a drunken sorority girl would do. My 2-year-old's a drunken sorority girl. That's what she is. How do you tell me no and try to hit me, and then a second later tell me you love me and give me a hug? That sounds like a bad relationship I've been in the past. That sounds like a toxic sorority girl that I messed with 25 years ago. That's what that sounds like. 100%. You're a sorority girl. I do have a Gay Greg update for you guys. Everybody wants to hear about Gay Greg. I was talking to somebody today about it. Somebody I know and I work with, they're like, "Hey, you got any Gay Greg updates?" I said, "I do. I got a Gay Greg update." This one actually happened with my daughter present, my 2-year-old Isla present. He's just so weird. And I know I say this every time I bring Gay Greg into this podcast. But the thing I always say, how did we start here and end up here? What happened across the way? How did we start here and end up here? And it's always sexual. It doesn't matter what we're talking about. It always gets real sexual involving the penis. Hence, he's Gay Greg. So I'm outside in the front yard with Isla the other day. She's got this new little, she calls it a rocket ship, little thing you stomp on, and you guys have seen this. It's got a little Nerf, like aerodynamic thing where it shoots up in the air. It's like $10, maybe not even $10. I don't know what it is at Target. You just step on it, the air shoots it out. She loves it. She calls it a rocket ship. Let's go play with our rocket ship. So we're in the front yard doing that the other day. And he's walking his little dog, Parker. And he sees my daughter and she's being friendly and she wants to pet the dog and yada, 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 whatever. He's like, "She has such blue eyes. Her eyes are just so blue. There's such pretty eyes." I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "What color are your eyes?" And I'm wearing sunglasses. Like, "Let me see your eyes." First of all, a straight dude, that's another sign right there. Like, a straight dude's not asking another straight dude just look at his eyes. He's just not. That's something a gay dude asks somebody. I mean, let's just call it what it is. I've never once in the whole history of my life on this earth asked another dude what his eye colors are. I don't even ask girls what eye colors they are. Like, we don't look at that stuff. So I pulled down my glasses. I'm like, okay, Gay Greg's asking me. I was like, I got hazel eyes. He's like, "Where do you think she gets that from?" I was like, "I don't know, man. She's got light eyes. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I don't understand DNA. I'm a dude who does a podcast in his basement. Like, what do I know? I don't know, Greg." So then he says, "How's the baby?" And I said, "Oh, she's been hell lately." And I'm going through all this stuff, and I'm like, she's got bad constipation and gas, and I'm just filling him in on Molly and how she's hit a really rough patch because she's been really difficult for us. I mean, we went to see a chiropractor, and by the way, we went back again. We went back again to see the chiropractor. We went back again. She's struggling. We hit a real big rough patch. I jinxed it. I said, "Oh, she's great 4 or 5 weeks in, and she's been pure hell since." So that's on me. That's the Ruther curse. I jinxed it. So anyway, I tell him we were having a lot of problems with the baby and she's not easy and yada, yada, yada. He's like, "Well, one time," and this is what I'm saying. How did we go from that to now we're starting to get into talking about his penis? How do you go from talking about someone's 2-month-old to his nudity, his penis? I'll tell you how. He then shares a story with me when one of his kids was a baby. They had a bad fever, really high fever, and they wanted to try to cool her down, and they took her in a cool bath, just in the bathtub, put on cold water. And again, he's in his early 70s, so he's talking about something, I don't know, 40 years ago? And he's like, so I got in the bath with her and I was naked. And my wife thought that was weird. And I'm like, yeah, it is kind of weird. I don't know. Like, I'm not getting, he's like, she was 6 months old. I'm not getting naked with my baby. I don't know. It is kind of weird, but I'm also just like, whatever. Like, it's not like my daughters don't see me piss. Like, I guess that's different, or like want to come in the room when I'm changing or any of that stuff. But anyway, so he's like, she thought it was weird that I was getting in the bathtub naked with her to hold her. And I'm just like, okay, whatever. I'm not going to ask him, why didn't you just hold her in the bathtub? You didn't have to get in. I'm not asking him. But this is where he goes. Now we're talking about him being naked. And then he just takes, dude, you give him an inch, he's going to take a yard. And then he's going to take a football field. And then he's going to take a mile. You can't give this guy an inch. I don't even think I gave him an inch. I didn't give him anything. He asked me what's going on with my baby. And all I said was, yo, man, she's constipated. She has gas, all these other issues. She cries all the time. She can't be consoled. We're trying all this different stuff. And then suddenly he's talking about getting in the bathtub naked with his daughter. And then he took it a step further and he's like, oh, and she doesn't like it at bedtime because I like to sleep naked. Again, I didn't ask you for this, man. I didn't ask you if you like to sleep naked. Why are you telling me this? And then he starts talking about how he sleeps naked and how he puts his underwear right on his nightstand. And I'm like, what? Why are you telling me this? I'm just trying to play with my daughter on her rocket ship in the cul-de-sac where I live. And now we're talking about how you sleep. Again, no straight dude is telling another straight dude how they sleep and how they sleep naked, but they keep their shirt on. And he's telling me all this and how he likes to mess with his wife sometimes and just jump up and shake it. He's like, and sometimes I just jump up and shake it. I just jump up and dance around and shake it. What? Why are you telling me this, dude? I got a 2-year-old 10 feet away from me. Stop it. Stop it. And he's talking about how he surprised her by shaking his dong on Valentine's Day. And I'm just like, just baffled, amazed, perplexed, fascinated. I'm all of those things. How we got from talking about my baby, again, here, I'm going to show you visually with my hands. We went from here, me saying my baby has gas, is constipated, is a pain in our ass, to he likes to jump around and jiggle his dong in front of his wife. How did we get there, guys? How do we always get back to gay Greg's penis? Every time. Every time. Dude, we've literally talked about the most serious subjects. About him taking care of his father who was old and had dementia and Alzheimer's. And then it turned into penis talk. I mean, every time. And everything he does, no straight dude would ever do. I'm going to hold up a kombucha, my kombucha. I'm going to take a sip for you, gay Greg. That's why we love you. He's insane. I walked inside and I said to Brittany, I said, you're not going to believe what gay Greg said to me. And she's probably heard that a million times, right? And then we get to that point, and then she's like, how? And I go, yeah, that's me. That's me. How? How did we get here? This is my neighbor. This is my neighbor. He's going to walk his little dog, and somehow we're talking about his penis. I don't know. With our 2-year-old just right there. I don't know. I don't know how we got to this point. I just want him to say to me one time, I love dudes. Or just be like, yo, man, are you gay? And I'll be like, no, sorry. I know you are, though. I knew that the minute I met you. In fact, I knew that before I met you because the neighbors told me, have you met gay Greg? You ain't fooling anybody, bro. You ain't fooling anybody. I don't care if you've been married 40, 50 years. You ain't fooling anybody. Not a damn person on this street has been fooled by you. I know some pretty gay dudes, right? I got some pretty gay friends, like really gay friends. You might be gayer than all of them. I'm just saying, man. So before I started the show, I saw that DoorDash has this new thing, or DoorDash, I shouldn't say new thing. Let me take it back. Klarna, which I'd never heard of. This is what the headline reads. Klarna lands buy now, pay later deal with DoorDash, notching another win ahead of IPO. So you're like, what are you even talking about? What is Klarna? Well, I'm going to explain. This is absolutely wild to me. So DoorDash and Klarna have signed a deal where customers can choose to pay for food delivery in interest-free installments. Klarna is a buy now, pay later. Sorry, I was burping with my kombucha. Klarna is the buy now, pay later lender that's headed for its first IPO, initial public offering. And it has signed a deal with DoorDash as a partner to help for this whole situation with their investors. So basically, guys, to sum it up, you can order your cheeseburger, you can order your sandwich, you can order your chicken wings, and you can pay later. Really? Guys, this is where we're at. America, this is where we're at. Dude, if you can't afford combo meal number 6 from McDonald's and you got to put it on layaway, you got some issues. You got bigger issues. Maybe don't order the McDonald's. Maybe make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Put 2 pieces of toast in the toaster, grab a stick of butter, maybe eat that. Go buy a bag of apples. Buy some bananas. Don't buy eggs because they're expensive now too. We're talking about delaying your payments on DoorDash. Buy now, pay later. Klarna, which is headquartered in Sweden, had a revenue last year of $2.8 billion. And adjusted profit was $181 million in profit. CNBC reported that Klarna will be the exclusive provider of buy now, pay later loans for Walmart as well. Let's see what their chief commercial officer said in today's release. Our partnership with DoorDash marks an important milestone in Klarna's expansion into everyday spending categories, said David Sykes, Klarna's chief commercial officer. I mean, these people. Here's the thing. All they're going to do, truthfully, let's call it what it is take advantage of poor people, right? They're saying it's interest free. First of all, I'm not buying it. Somebody's getting a kick. Nothing in life is free. We've already decided that. I've already explained that. Follow the money here, guys. Nothing in life is free. So if you think you wanted to order a $20 meal for free and it's pay later, no. There's some sort of interest. There's some sort of hit you're going to take later. Nothing in life is for free. And again, they're just going to take advantage of poor people. It's pretty messed up, to be honest. It's pretty jacked up to even allow this. Dude, if you can't afford a DoorDash delivery, if you have to delay that payment, you are in serious financial problem. Like you're in a conundrum there financially if you can't afford that. You're financing your lunch? Hey, I'm gonna get the chips and hummus and a falafel wrap here. I don't have the money right now. I'm just gonna pay for that in 2 weeks. Bro, I'll tell you what. Let me just keep it real with you guys for a minute. As somebody who made some reckless, and I mean reckless, bad financial decisions in my 20s. I'll tell you what. I at one point had some bad credit card debt. Some bad credit card debt. True story. Never again. Dude, it messed me up so hard that, and I ended up paying it all off eventually. But I'll just tell you the story. I was in a bad situation financially, and I had a lot of stuff going on, and I'm not making excuses, but I was in LA. I was struggling. I was in between jobs. I was working on some things, and I like blah yada yada yada. Anyway, I didn't make some payments on credit card that I owed. This is all through US Bank, who I think is the devil, by the way. So if you agree, you might agree with me on that. Anyway, I didn't make a payment. Apparently it was written in like the language of, I also had my bank account with US Bank. It was written in the fine print that they could go into my bank account to make that payment without my knowledge. And this is on me. I didn't read the fine print, but also they're taking advantage of people. So cut to, I didn't make a payment and I was pretty broke financially. I was extremely broke. Clearly, I can't make a minimum payment, or I didn't want to, or whatever it was. I was putting the money towards rent. That's basically what I was worried about, was paying rent. They sent like a letter in the mail, like a 24-hour overnight letter, and it literally said, "We withdrew the money." And I was so worried. This is a true story. I was so worried my check was going to bounce for my rent because I just paid rent. So they went into my bank account, they paid off some minimum fee, and I was so worried that my check was going to bounce, which would have caused even more issues. And then I would have had a whole thing with my landlord and the apartment I lived in. So like, I was in dire straits is my point. I was in a bad spot financially. And like, it messed me up to the point I'm so paranoid about credit cards now that like I have a couple, or I have one that I use, but I pay it off literally instantly. I just use it for points. Like I use Chase now. I will literally pay that off every day, every single day. Oh, I bought groceries for $50. Boom, pay it off. And I'll take those 50 points. It's just not a spot you want to be in. It's just not a spot you want to be in. Owing money, let alone owing your chicken club or bacon club or turkey club sandwich Jersey Mike's if you can't afford it, right? I don't want to owe Jersey Mike's or Klarna or DoorDash money because I got it Mike's way and I can't afford it. It's pretty gross. It's like pretty disgusting, to be honest, that they'd allow this. Because again, it's only people who are in a bad spot financially. And I was clearly there at one point. It's only those type of people that they're going to go after. Because if you can't afford your chicken bacon cheeseburger with fries and a side of chips and guac, if you can't afford that, you got some serious problems. It's all, dude, it's all wild. I like it's just insane to me. I'm lucky though, in a way. Like, I learned that young. I'm lucky. I am. I'm lucky that I was like, okay, I hate how this feels. And I forget what I did. I ended up like negotiating. I forget how it works, but of course I took a credit hit. But I eventually, when I started making some money, I started negotiating on what I owed US Bank and credit card debt. And I basically just paid it off over a couple months, over like, I don't know, 3 or 4 months. And I negotiated and paid them lump sums. But like what they did was evil, man. Like you went into my bank account, you sent me a letter, like with somebody's signature. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. That's why, like, now I'm like so anal as a dad with kids. I'm like, oh, you know, got to watch everything, make sure we can afford this or that. It's like parents know, people know. It's insane now. This is crazy to put this on DoorDash, financing your meal in installments. Like, are they going to repossess? Like, are they going to go in? Are they going to go in? Somebody from Klarna shows up. Hey, I know you bought this chicken burrito from Chipotle last night. Money's due. You don't have it. We're gonna have to eat. We're gonna have to take away that last 5 bites of that burrito. You're not gonna eat it. We're gonna take it from your fridge. We're gonna repossess it. They're gonna be repossessing half full boxes of fries. It's unbelievable. Guys, there's a hotline here at the Andy Ruther Show. Give it a ring if you want. 859-935-0078. Once again, the hotline is 859-935-0078. You can follow me. My DMs are open. It's right there on the screen. At Andy Ruther. If you want to help the show. All reviews on Apple and Spotify are greatly appreciated. You can drop the stars on Apple and Spotify. You can drop an actual review on Apple. It takes 2 seconds. Helps the show, like I said. All right, guys. That is our show. Thanks for listening. We'll see you guys next week. Peace.